Good afternoon. Selamat siang, Bapak Ibu dan sekalian. It is my greatest honor to be a moderator of this session. My name is Shima from Toyo University, Japan, specialized in urban planning in Asia, Africa, and Latin American countries. I call promising countries, of course, including Indonesia as the most promising country. Well, anyhow, in this session, in the morning session, we have identified a lot of issues as well as experiences related to the housing in Indonesia and Japan. Then, in this further session, in the afternoon session, we are trying to find out a kind of solution toward the housing issues. And then, in this first session, we are going to talk about the first session entitled Net Zero and housing affordability, trying to explore the way to achieve both net zero goal and housing affordability through collaboration among various stakeholders. Then key questions are raised in this way. The first key question should be like this: what kind of policies are required to achieve net zero goal while responding to demands for new housing construction? The second question is, can affordable housing be provided while achieving net zero goals? It would be quite difficult, it would be quite challenging, but let's try to find out a solution anyhow. The third question should be more related to the collaboration. What kind of roles should be the central government and the local governments respectively take in providing safe, environmental friendly and quality housing for low income classes as well as for middle income classes. And the fourth question is what kind of incentive and or disincentive should be introduced to the private sector. In order to answer those questions, we are having 4 presentations by these 4 excellent presenters. But as Bapak Miura has already made a presentation in the morning session, so now we'd like to invite, Bapak Ariel, yeah? Bapak Ariel for the first presentation. Bapak Ariel is the first one, yeah? Bapak Ariel, the floor is yours. Please start your presentation. Yeah. No, you have microphone there. Oh, yeah. Can you change the slide to Bapak Ariel's?
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. I'm very honored to be here. Yeah, I'd like to deliver topics of the development of low carbon affordable apartment in the hot, humid climate of Indonesia. I am Muhammad Nur Fajri Al-Fatah from the Directorate for Human Settlement and Housing Development, Directorate General for Human Settlements of Ministry of the Public Works. Next, please. Yeah. Okay, let's begin with the regulational framework. I believe that this morning our ministry senior advisors, Pak Abraham, already mentioned about this regulation. So yeah, talking about the sustainable buildings, we are talking about the green building codes in Indonesia. In Indonesia, building codes refer to the ministerial regulation number 2021, year 2021. Also, circular letter of the Ministry of Public Works for a technical guideline of the green building assessment tools, number 1, year 2022, and also circular letter of the Directorate General for Human Settlements, number 3, year 2023. In this regulation, particular targeted for the residential buildings. Yeah, as mandated by the government regulation number 16, that all the buildings in Indonesia should save energy by 25%, and particularly for the IKN probably by 60%, right? Very tough, but I believe we can achieve that. Yeah, and also our Ministry of the Public Works also developed a roadmap for the green building implementation. We targeted by 2030 we can reduce more than 25 million ton CO2 equivalent from the residential sectors. These amounts are far bigger than for the commercial buildings. Yeah, this regulation effectively applied to the both new building and existing building. So in case of the new buildings, before they obtain the building permits or building approval, persetujuan penuh gedung, they must comply with these codes. Right? And for the existing building, as long as they cannot comply with this regulation, so they must do retrofitting. And in this morning topics also, we talk about the retrofitting strategies for this kind of the buildings. All right. Unfortunately for the residential building in the housing sector, they're still classified as non-mandatory category. Despite that, Indonesian government is promoting the sustainable housing through the Indonesian Green Affordable Housing Program, and in order to promote the sustainable building in the housing sector. Yeah, next, please. Yeah. Then how we can achieve what have been targeted by our regulation? So, yeah, basically in our ministry, in the Ministry of Public Works, we also established the strategies and roadmap how to achieve that's already mandated by the regulation. Yeah, as you can see here that there are some strategies including involving the policy and implementation, capacity building, and innovation and technology. For the policy, I think this is important to completing our existing policy with some of the technical guidelines. Technical guidelines like the how to technology, knowledge, and so on and so forth. So that will be applicable throughout Indonesia. We hope so. And for the public awareness, yes, we train not only the civil servants but also the construction shareholders like the consulting company and also contractor and so on and so forth. And this is the most important thing. Also, we encourage to do some the innovation and technology, and I will explain this about what we have done for the innovation and technology in order to improve the quality of life in the housing sector. Yeah, next please. Yeah. Yeah, since 2021, almost 4 years ago, yeah, we, Directorate for Human Settlement and Housing Engineering Development, in collaboration with the Hiroshima University, Japan, have been undertaking a project so-called Science and Technology Research Partnership for Sustainable Development. This project is really the huge collaboration between Indonesian institution and also Japan institution. As you can see in the slides, yeah, we involve not only academician but also industry sector and also local government. Yeah, like in Tegal, local government, universities, and so on and so forth. Our ultimate target goal of this project is simply to investigate the cooling technology passively in order to reduce the energy usage for the thermal comfort, and then incorporate that results into guideline, standard, and so on and so forth. And by making use of these results, then we will materialize that results into the prototype of the low carbon affordable apartment housing that will be, it's very fortunate that we will do the groundbreaking ceremony within this week, in this Friday in the Tegal city. Next. In order to achieve that goal, so we divide our team into 5 research groups. Why we do this? Because we have to understand the Indonesian local context. For example, for the climate, we have to understand the climate of Indonesia precisely, because this is the basic of the climate responsive building design. Right. We project the urban climate, we develop the standard weather data, we develop the map for the passive cooling and so on. And then the second, we also must understand about the thermal comfort, thermoregulatory of the human body of the tropics country. For example, in this room, since all of the participants are Indonesian, I believe most of you feel cold inside this room, right? So this is, I wear this suit because of not for to be cool, but because very cool in here, right? So why don't we think to increase the thermostat, set point, temperature of thermostat, instead of we wear layered garment into our body. So that is, for example, one of way to understand the thermal comfort standard for the tropics Indonesia in order to perform the best design for the building. And the GRIP building, for example, we develop several strategies for passive cooling and energy. Yes, this is most interesting. I think now we are intend to evaluate the building design by the life cycle energy and life cycle carbon approaches. I think our team also nicely developed some of the methods to calculate the embedded energy and embedded carbon. And then we will do the implementation in form of the regulation as well as the development of the prototype for low carbon affordable apartment in Tegal start from this year. Next. I think this is one of the most important and the most significant results of this project. We try to understand about the very local context of Indonesia. By understanding this, so we believe that some of the design strategy can be adjusted according to the local climatic condition. So this brings consequences that probably the building designs, housing design for each region will be different. So we cannot use a single prototype for all the area in Indonesia. So I think for each climatic zone should have a different prototype of the low carbon affordable apartment, for instance, or buildings, not only apartment but also building and housing and so on and so forth. So this is, this brings to the very contextualize this result into the different region. We developed 8 climatic zones from the equatorial, monsoonal, highland, and savanna. Next. This is also a part of our project. Previously, we were constructing the prototype of the low carbon apartment, but this type of the apartment was designed for the middle to up income people. So what we so-called as rusunami, rumah susun sederhana milik. So this incorporates some of the passive design strategies, including nicely natural ventilation, insulation for not only for the roof but also for the wall. We also try to test our experimental house with the phase change material, for example, siding, sun protection method, and so on and so forth. And during our experiment in this building, so we obtain a good results, either for the improving thermal comfort and also for the improving wind velocity, wind speed and wind flow inside of the units. Yeah, we expect that this model can be replicated or be in other area in Indonesia. Of course, we have to consider of the local climate itself, as I mentioned before. Next. Yeah, this is our future works, just precisely next to the existing building. So we will develop a new type of the prototype for the low carbon affordable apartment. This is Rusunawa type, supported by JICA, Sumitomo Forestry, YKKAP, AGC, Rockwool, and in collaboration with the many universities in Indonesia. So this is a result of our works, and we will construct within this year. And let's hope that this will give more insightful results for the low carbon apartment in Indonesia in the future. I think that's all. Pak Sima, thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Pak Ariel, for the very impressive presentation, particularly in that the low carbon and affordable housing are built according to the local climate context. That is quite interesting, particularly at the situation when the national government is preparing the standard as well as the regulations. How should we consider the local context or something like that? From this viewpoint, it was quite impressive and suggestive. Thank you very much once again for the great presentation. Nextly, we are inviting Pak Ali for presentation. Pak Ali, floor is yours.
Thank you, Prof. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Selamat siang, salam sejahtera, Om Swastiastu, Namo Buddhaya, and very good afternoon. Respected colleague from Indonesia and Japan, let me brief you within these 10 minutes on our strategy, our policy and action plans to have a Nusantara capital city as a smart and sustainable city. So next, the new capital city, size-wise, is about 322,000 hectares, in which 200 is including land and seaside. For the land side, it's only about 252,000 hectares. And it is divided into 9 development area. So it started from the core government area. You can see it's called as a KIPP, and there's R&D, development zone area, financial center, and extra. What makes it interesting? 65% of 252,000 hectares will be dedicated for green tropical forests. Another 10%, Prof, is dedicated as a green zone, in which for the food estate, smart farming, city parks, and extra. And only 25% of the area will be constructed as a city area that has been divided into 9 economic zone area. So let's imagine if 25%, if 65 plus 10, 75% of the area is a green area, another 25% is the development area. I treat the 75% as a carbon sink, while for the 25% of area, I controlled the project development. How to control the project development, the construction process and extra. We utilize, for example, the renewable energy. We use the intelligent transportation system. We use the most effective, efficient buildings and extra. So we control this project development in order to mitigate the carbon CO2. So having said this means that the target of net zero city by 2045 is much possible. And Indonesia has targeted the net zero country by 2060. So next, there are 5 principles in defining our policy, strategy, and action programs. The Nusantara will be a green, resilient, and sustainable city. I'll just explain on how we construct the city together with the concept of spawn city. If you go to the Nusantara, you will see lots of ponds and extra. Next, Nusantara is an inclusive city. It's for everybody. It's a global city. We welcome the high capital investors, investor into the small medium enterprise. And last but not least, Nusantara will be a smart city. The city that utilizes the technology as a tools to increase the quality of life of its citizen. So how we do that? We produce the master plan blueprint, the blueprint of Nusantara Smart City 2045. We upload all our policy regulation into our website. We have the apps. I know IKN Now apps. You can also download it from your mobile phone. Then it will be directed to all the regulation, handbooks, master plan, and extra. It's open for public, free to download. Yeah. So within this blueprint, we define 6 major domains of smart city. From the 6 domain, we then detailing into the 21 subdomain and 67 features that will be provided in the Nusantara Smart City. We need to deliver not only the hardware project development, but also the software, the technology, and the brainware. The capacity of citizen capability. Next, the 6th domain is span. From the smart governance, from a city management, we construct the integrated command and control center towards the smart permit, smart business, and extra. For the smart transportation and mobility, the use of intelligent transportation system, the mobility as a services, and also the smart logistics has been constructed, has been used to be a major mode in Nusantara. It's including the major transportation mode in Nusantara is we built lots of pedestrian walk and cyclists. Yeah. Next, for the smart living, we install some sensor at the current progress on the early warning system for flooding, forest fire, and then for the smart healthcare system and extra. Next, for the natural resources, we are finishing the 50 megawatt of solar farm now, in which 10 megawatt has been distributed in the Nusantara or from the solar farm. We also utilize the smart waste water and smart waste management. Next, for the biodiversity, we have this carbon monitoring, animals movement and extra. For your information, we produce Nusantara Net Zero Strategy 2045 that was launched in COP28 last year in Dubai. For biodiversity, we have Nusantara Nature Positive Plan. For the Sustainable Development Goals, we produce locally determined review, and it was launched in UN in Bangkok. Yeah, all those information can be downloaded, can be accessed in our website. Yeah. Next, for the industry, human resources, citizen platform, and including, now we are constructing the digital library, digital social platform, and extra. Next, then this is related to this conference topic on the smart built environment and infrastructure. We set up the standard for the smart building in Nusantara. Yeah? The use of digital twin, GIS, and then the use of smart infrastructure will be much utilized in Nusantara project development. Next. So this is the smart blueprint. Next. This is what I'm talking about, the smart building guidelines. So it is included the needs for the data control room in which they will set up. This will be treated as data aids, and it will be sent to our command control center. And then the whole city will be controlled, and we can intervene. If we realize from the data analytic, we found out that those west area is too much consume the energy. What we need to do now. So all the intervention will be conducted based on the data analytic, in which it has been cited as a requirement for the smart building guidelines. So from the energy, water utilization, wastewater, and etc. Now we are constructing the 47 apartment buildings, in which functioning operation now is about 27 towers. Besides that, we have 38, if I'm not mistaken, 38 landed house, ministerial landed house. Yeah, we need to adding up because there's additional cabinet members. So next, this is our Nusantara Common Center Phase 1, in which we do the monitoring, controlling all the project through our control center. The Common Center Phase 2 will be operated this year, in which we have a commitment grant from U.S. government and colleagues from U.S. companies. And also we have committed the support from South Korean government on building the smart cooperation buildings, the Nusantara Knowledge and Technology Hub, in which it will be a melting point from a university research centers of excellence, technology providers, companies, and extra startup to be the forefront on the technology and knowledge development in ICANN. Next, this is our application. You can download from your iPhone or smartphone. All the information can be accessed through these apps. Next, some of proof of concept that has been conducted in Nusantara, from Sky Taxi, autonomous train, smart buildings, technology, smart poles, technology, and extra. In general, all those products is fitted into our requirement, but one product needs to be upgraded to its function so it can be performed perfectly as required. Next. I think that's all from my side. But yet, we are expecting to build the city, the capital city, a global city that will be an example for the world, not only for Indonesia. We are talking, all of us talking about the climate change, all of us talking about sustainable development. Now, this is the time for us. This is a moment, this is a time that we need to have a proof that given to the world that will be given to our next future generation on how we are building a smart, sustainable city for our current needs and for our future. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you very much once again, Ali, for a very informative presentation. I am very impressed that Smart City plan covers not only the whole Nusantara area, but until to the individual housing unit as well. And I also believe that the Nusantara will be a big proof for the country of Indonesia to be the sustainable country as well as the cities in the future. Thank you very much once again for the great future. Now we'd like to invite the third presenter, Mr. Miyamori, Bapak Miyamori, for his presentation. Now floor is yours.
Thank you, Dr. Shima. So hello everyone, my name is Takeshi Miyamori. Okay, sorry. So my name is Takeshi Miyamori, and I'm leading a program called Decarbonizing Buildings in Cities and Regions at the OECD. We do the policy analysis and provide the policy recommendation to both national and subnational government. So following very interesting story from the Indonesian approach and also Nusantara, today I would like to talk about the global trend of decarbonizing building policies. So to share the comprehensive understanding of global status of policies on buildings and climate, our team conducted a global survey on 23 OECD countries and 5 non-OECD countries, including Europe, Asia, Africa, and Americas. So the report includes 50 policy recommendations, and also we have 28 country profiles, so you can check in our website. So I'd like to share some of the key findings from this report. First, so most countries will prioritize embodied carbon and circularity in the future. So we asked each countries about their policy priority. The current policy priority, which is a blue one, and the green one will be the future priority. So passive design for reducing cooling demand is getting attention in European countries such as UK, France, Italy, because of the heat waves these days. Our survey also highlighted that there is a policy shift from operational carbon toward whole life carbon. For most of the countries, For most of the countries, heating and renewable energy are the current policy focus. But in the future, as you can see in the right-hand side, 46% of countries replied embodied carbon, such as reducing the carbon footprint of building materials, will be their priority. And 64% of the countries responded that the circularity of building materials will be their future priorities. So we need to reduce the carbon in construction phase using more low carbon materials and reused materials. So energy efficiency first is the most common approach among the countries, but on top of that, some countries in European countries, such as France and Nordic countries, has already started to regulate the whole life carbon for the new construction. So we will launch a report of whole life carbon policy next month in Tokyo, so stay tuned for our upcoming report. So we also explored the challenges associated with the new regulations for the new constructions. The first challenge is the issue of housing affordability. So policymakers worldwide are confronting the rising housing prices driven by increasing material costs and also the shortage of skilled laborers. There are no simple solutions for this issue. A comprehensive approach is needed, as discussed in the morning session today, including housing policies, affordable loans, a low-cost building technologies, which was mentioned by Ariel-san, and the spatial planning to promote affordable green housing. The second challenge is the introduction of new regulations that have not been implemented before. Some countries, including Japan, are now considering to introduce a whole life carbon regulation in near future. And the third, countries are gradually expanding their scope of regulations. For example, in Japan, mandatory energy efficiency code will apply to all new construction, including single-family homes, starting this April. So this follows a step-by-step approach. A large commercial buildings have been regulated since 2017. So it has taken 8 years to extend mandatory energy efficiency standard to cover all building types. Our survey also identifies a future policy shift from new buildings to existing buildings. Next slide, please. Once government make mandatory standards for new construction, their focus will be existing buildings. One of the challenges currently faced by developed countries is a renewal of old building stocks. So there is a large number of existing homes with poor insulation, which negatively impact both health and the environment. So in Indonesia, growing needs for new homes, it is crucial to ensure the creation of high-quality housing stocks. So promoting energy efficiency homes is a no-regret policy that allows you to recover your initial cost over time through reduced energy bill. Today, I would like to introduce one example from the Netherlands to highlight the approaches for the existing buildings, existing homes. So the Netherlands offers an excellent example of goal setting, which clear quantitative target and timelines. So 1.5 million natural gas-free homes by 2030, 1 million hybrid heat pumps, and 2.5 million insulated homes. These clear quantitative targets not only ensure government invest on related policies, but also encourage green investment in the market. Next slide, please. The Netherlands, which is very interesting, chose a neighborhood approach to achieve these goals. So we saw a big potential of this neighborhood approach. So I'd like to share the 3 key elements of this program. The first element is flexible funding. So the national government provide around 4 million euro, which is a 67 billion Indonesian rupiah for each neighborhood, and they gave the freedom for municipalities to spend. So some spent on connecting the district heating, while others spent on hiring coordinator to work with the residents. The second element is the anticipated continuity. So in the beginning of the program, the Dutch government announced that 400 million euro, which is 7 trillion Indonesian rupiah, would go into the program for the next 10 years. This gave a clear signal to the municipality that they can seriously invest on green transition. The last element is the intermediary organization with horizontal and vertical coordination. The staff are seconded from both building ministry and energy ministry. And also, what is interesting, they are seconded from both national government and sub-national government. This enables swift response to the local needs. And from our survey, 84% of Dutch municipalities find the neighborhood approach beneficial, not only for the district heating, but also the individual renovation, such as insulation or installing heat pumps, due to social influences with communities. So I'd like to echo what the Vice Minister said in the morning. So the community is a power for the transition. As shown in the graph on the right side hand, Dutch municipality has developed a variety of communication tools, such as energy coach visit, sharing personal success stories of the renovation, and creating the model houses. So raising awareness of co-benefit of the renovation is not only to reduce the energy bill, but also for the health, to the green transition, which is why OECD emphasized the role of local government, who are closer to the residents and the local stakeholders. The last slide, please. So this is a conclusion slide, and when we asked the Dutch municipality about the key factors behind their success, they mentioned 3 things on the top. So financial support from national government and citizens' engagement, and most importantly, the strong will of local government. I believe in the strength of the Indonesian cities. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Papa Miyamori, for a very suggestive presentation. The focus on existing building and neighborhood, a kind of neighborhood approach added the new viewpoint to our session indeed. Thank you very much once again. Then let us reflect the morning session, and I'd like to invite Papa Miura for the reflection of the morning presentation. Now, Japan is also trying to achieve the net zero in housing provision. So, Papa Miura, what is the most serious challenge, biggest challenge to achieve net zero housing provision in Japan? Can you elaborate that point?
Thank you. Last time I spoke a bit too fast, the last previous session, so I tried to talk a bit slower this time, so rest assured. I think I'd like to add some comments on broader perspective. Net zero by 2050 is a very challenging and ambitious goal, so we have to come up with a practical strategy to reach that goal. First, we need to break down the whole process into manageable pieces, like a 3 or 5 year timeline. So when we reach every milestone, we have to review what we have done, or we have to check whether our policies, the programs, the tax incentive has been effective as we expected or not. So establishing such a feedback loop will be crucial to reaching such a higher goals. And I think more importantly, we have to put everyone on the same page, looking in the same direction and looking to the same shared goals. And that process would be really messy and quite challenging, but we have to build such a foundation or connections should be the first stepping stone to reaching that goals. Thank you.
For the very suggestive action, suggestive comment. Then now we have 10 minutes, only 10 minutes. So now I'd like to, because our time is very limited, so I'd like to ask Ariel and Ali for your expectation to Japan as well as OECD from considering your experience that you presented today. Bapak Ariel should be the first. Or Bapak Ali should be the first. Either one is okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. So what do we expect from Japan, right? For OECD. Okay, yeah. As you know that, for example, Japan and Indonesia, we start the history differently, right? So let's say Japan start from the Meiji Restoration, start growing fastly, and from the, let's say, isolated country, become the most powerful, one of the most powerful countries in the world at that time. But Indonesia, we start slowly, right? So, well, you already enjoy the high growth of economy during the 70s or probably 60s. So we still deal with our internal affairs, right, in the around 60 or 70. I think it's not, you know, like, it is not fair if, for example, from me as Indonesian, for example, when we tried to, as Vice Minister of the Housing mentioned in this morning, that now we are focusing on the providing housing for the almost 3 million people that not having appropriate housing. While at the same time, we are forcing to do some sustainability measures, right? So I think in that point, I think now we are trying to improve our economy. And of course, we expect that, for example, Japan already make use of the resources before us to give some feedback for developing country as Indonesia. and also OECD. OECD, I know that consists of the many developed countries as United States, England, Great Britain, and so on and so forth. Yeah. In that sense, I think it's important to, some support from OECD or developed countries such as in Japan to Indonesia, not only in terms of the physical, for example, technology and so on, but also share the knowledge how to improve the quality of life, because probably what we are experiencing now have been experienced by the Japanese maybe several decades ago, right? So now, while we are trying to mainstreaming sustainable building, for example, Japan already experienced that by improving insulation, for example, but we are not moving anywhere for high performance building, for example. I think that's more the in addition to the financial support and so on, but we also need to how to develop our sustainable buildings in the future. I think that's Dr. Sima.
Thank you very much, Pak Ariel. What about your viewpoint, Pak
Yeah,
Ali?
thank you, Prof. So, Nusantara is latest new capital city projects. Indonesia wait for 70 years. The last time I was invited to attend the celebration of new capital city of Astana, 25 years of the new capital city. Putrajaya, although it's not capital city, but it's government city, it was 30 years ago. So what I'm trying to say is this type of projects is conducted within about 20 to 30 years, once in 20 or 30 years. So as a global city, this is our task, that how we can build a civilization on how we are building the technology, utilizing the technology while maintaining, preserving the Mother Earth, the nature. It's not about all good things written on the paper. It's now the time to act. So we invite all innovators, manufacturers, investors to work together in this new greenfield project. Could what the ideal things that we imagine be implemented on the ground? So this is the case. So what I'm expecting, that involvement of our colleague from Japan, from OECD, is welcome. We have plenty companies from around the world coming to Nusantara, expressing their intention to participate. We open the opportunity, because it's not only about Indonesia, it's about the global movement on mitigating the climate change, on propagating the sustainable development, on the biodiversity and extra. So for me, Nusantara is a living lab. This is an innovation test bed. How could you get the lab test bed, innovation test bed, about 252,000 acres? Even my lab is only 100 meters squares in campus. Yeah? So, I mean, the momentum. And for sure, I believe colleagues from Japan, from OECD, wouldn't miss this opportunity. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Pak Ali. I am very sorry to say that we could not answer to. Of course.
Sorry, can I just jump in? So I want to comment to the, two speakers. So what we are always discussing about the policy introduction and the policy implementation, which we can share and we should share. And for smart cities, what is important is how we could utilize, but also what is more important is the purpose. So for whom to introduce technologies and like the human-centric approach. And also we are always discussing about inclusive growth, which Mr. Mayor Omori introduced today. And in the morning session, our Deputy Secretary General, introduced that we have the champion mayors for inclusive growth. This is, very fundamental approach for this smart cities. And the last comment is, what is important for the policy making is like the locally customized approach. So we always discuss our place-based policies, which Ariel-san also mentioned, right? So there's a difference between like climate and the culture and the building stock. It differs across the district, the neighbors. So this is what we need to, we shouldn't forget about it. And the local approach is important. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Pak Miyamori, maybe he mentioned all the conclusions that I'd like to talk about anyhow. Also, we could not, because of the time limitation, we could not answer to all these questions. But we have identified several keywords throughout these sessions. For example, from Ariel's presentation, the importance of the local context or engineering methodology should be the keyword. And from Ari's presentation, the smart living or biodiversity or something like that is an important keyword for those questions. And then from Miyamori's presentations, the existing buildings or neighborhood approach, in addition to that, the inclusive growth should be the important keyword for those 4 questions. Of course, we should remember that from Miura's comment, we recognize again the difficulty in sharing goals or something like that. Then, for our further step forward, Ariel and Ali's comment is very impressive in that the sharing knowledge and working together is the most important step for our to achieve the net zero goal and housing affordability. Anyhow, I strongly believe that this session has become a kind of a first step to think about and go further way to achieve the very difficult goal. But I strongly believe that it's possible goal for that net zero goal and housing affordability. Ladies and gentlemen, please give your biggest hands again to all the presenters and commenters from this session. Thank you very much once again for your patient listening. This is the end of this session. Thank you very much once again.